more crises of the U.S.-Mexico border.
Yeah, it's pretty bad right now.
As record heat contributes to more deaths along the southern border. Massive flooding is ravaging northeastern states.
We can't get anywhere. Everything is shut down.
As towns are being left in ruins. And the chase for fugitive intensifies.
Burham is considered armed and dangerous, and we ask the public not to approach him.
As police from 2 northern states send reinforcements. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Tani Jimenez.
I'm Paloma Pimentel. Today is Wednesday, July 12, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Ukraine's president meets with dozens of world leaders at a NATO council as he sets to meet with President Biden this morning. At last check this morning, the NATO conference is about an hour and a half behind schedule.
In the last few minutes, U.S. President Biden and Ukrainian President Zelensky came face-to-face and shook hands. They will have a bilateral meeting coming up in the next hour. Earlier today, the Ukrainian leader met with the Prime Minister of Canada. He was also introduced to applause to the leaders of NATO in Lithuania. After the two leaders meet, President Biden is scheduled to address reporters in the early afternoon our time.
This morning, a father and son's trip to Florida for college orientation has ended in tragedy. As reported by WFTV's Rafael Pyers, Shane and Jacob Lloyd were killed after a suspected drunk driver ran a red light and crashed into them.
We can't believe that it happened, and I keep waiting to wake up.
Brandy Bowden still trying to wrap her head around the devastating news that her big brother Shane Lloyd and nephew Jacob were killed by a drunk driver.
He was like the one all of us looked up to, the one we all aspired to be and made proud.
She says they were both loving, smart, and caring men. Florida Highway Patrol says Sunday afternoon, 40-year-old Leslie Garrett ran a red light on Lake Underhill Road near Rouse Road and slammed into the two victims.
I couldn't stay still. I just ran out of my car.
Crystal Santiago saw the horrific wreck happen and tried to help. She said Jacob had unfortunately already passed, so she tried to focus on Shane.
I knew I couldn't do much, but to be able to at least hold his hand and tell him that it was going to be okay.
It gave us comfort knowing that he wasn't alone in those moments.
Bowden says her 19-year-old nephew had just graduated high school in Colorado and was about to start classes at UCF.
So they were in town for college orientation so he could start his life, and that was taken from him.
2 counts of homicide and 2 counts of manslaughter.
Garrett is now facing multiple felony charges, including one for this being her 3rd DUI in 10 years.
Because you can't follow the rules, you've just taken 2 lives.
That was WFTV's Rafael Pyers reporting. The victims are survived by the family's mother and 2 other children.
The summer heat is not only threatening humans, but also coral reefs in Florida and the Caribbean. Coral reefs are suffering from stress due to rising sea surface temperatures that can ultimately lead to bleaching and possibly death. According to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, coral reefs in Florida and in the Caribbean have a 60% chance of mortality from now through October.
Record-breaking heat wave is creating a dangerous situation for migrants at the U.S. border. As Caplin's Jennifer Rivas reports, the treacherous journey across the U.S.-Mexico border is exacerbated by the dangerous heat wave being the cause of 100 migrant deaths.
The increase in migrant deaths due to high temperature have endangered the lives of these people who often undertake long journeys without food, water, or sun protection. In this case, people who are trying to come to the United States.
Yeah, it's pretty bad right now.
The past 2 weeks, heat has taken over the southern half of the United States, from Arizona to Florida, bringing triple-digit temperatures to millions of people on both sides of the border. More than 100 migrants have died from the heat so far this year here in the Southwest, 13 just last week.
It's really pretty bad, and I think it's heartbreaking.
Gail Kotrick is with Toxin Samaritans, a volunteer-based group that provides humanitarian aid to migrants along the border. She said over the weekend a woman died trying to cross the border.
The first thing they wanted to tell us that this man had walked up to them and said that his sister had died the night before along the wall. He was distraught and he was looking for help.
Gail says while en route to find the body, they encountered a Border Patrol agent who was also searching for her.
He had a canine with him and he found the body and somebody put a blanket over her, which is, I thought, considerate of someone.
So far this year, Border Patrol agents have performed over 24,000 rescues along the southwest border, a record-breaking number that has increased every year since 2020, according to the agency data.
The people that come from Central America, Southern America, they don't know this kind of heat. They live with humidity. They don't have the dry heat that sucks life right out of you.
Agents in Nogales found an unresponsive woman as they tracked a group of suspect migrants near Peña Blanca Lake. They carried the 22-year-old to an air ambulance, saving her life. 2010 and 2021 were the deadliest years for migrants crossing the border in Arizona, with 225 and 224 deaths.
Police from 2 states scrambled to find an escaped inmate, as CNN Emily Schmidt's report. The search drags on and gets larger.
The ratio of law enforcement searching for 34-year-old escaped inmate Michael Burham is now more than 200 to 1, according to Pennsylvania State Police. Federal, state, and local resources combing the area around the city of Warren, Pennsylvania, close to the New York border, too close to home for many.
Every night, you gotta make sure the windows are locked, make sure both doors, front and back doors, are locked.
Afraid for my family, and this is something you can't really fathom, that we're really going through this.
Burham is considered armed and dangerous, and we ask the public not to approach him.
Michael Burham was being held in Warren County Prison on a $1 million bail. Less than 2 months ago, he was captured in South Carolina and charged with kidnapping an elderly couple. Court documents outline allegations of Burham's escape Thursday night, stating around 10:41 p.m., surveillance footage shows Burham and 3 other inmates in the prison yard gym. At about 11:26, he stood up on a pull-up machine, exiting through a metal-grated roof, the documents say, and using a rope made of sheets, he made his way to the ground and ran away, narrowly avoiding notice.
I would say that Burham saw red and blue lights within 2 minutes of leaving that jail.
Police say they've found some items they believe are connected to Burham. They're using DNA testing to check potential sightings and sending clear messages to him if he's listening.
We're not going away. We absolutely will be incarcerating you again. It's only a matter of time.
I'm Emily Schmidt, reporting.
A historical virus returns with a surge of outbreaks in cruise ships. The highly contagious stomach virus, norovirus, is surging once again with 13 outbreaks on cruise ships this year, making it the highest on record since December 2012. The last outbreak was reported on a Viking Cruises voyage leaving Iceland and docking in New York City on June 20.
Miami Marlins star helps win the MLB All-Star Game.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
Floodwaters continue to rise in some places, like our capital city, and have surpassed levels seen during Tropical Storm Irene.
Freak storms are putting some northeastern states underwater. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantore here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family, and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff. That's what white people think. You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive, ZWX. You're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
Severe weather is still striking parts of the Northeast as some states experience catastrophic flooding. Intense downpours have flooded roadways and forced some residents to evacuate.
As CNN's John Lawrence reports, thousands of homes and businesses have already been destroyed.
Vermont remains under a state of emergency, and the downtown of its capital, Montpelier, was closed by local officials after more than 5 inches of record-setting rain fell there on Monday. A boil water notice was also placed on the city for safety concerns. Vermont Governor Phil Scott posted this image on social media Tuesday, saying he had to take a snowmobile trail to get to an open road because the streets around his house were impassable. He calls this storm system historic and catastrophic.
Floodwaters continue to rise in some places, like our capital city, and have surpassed levels seen during Tropical Storm Irene.
Vermont is among the states experiencing what weather forecasters call 1 in 1,000 year rain events, which, as its name suggests, have a 0.1% chance of happening in a calendar year.
We can't get anywhere. Everything is shut down, basically. You can't go south, you can't go west, you can't go east. Wherever you're at, that's where you are.
It's pretty bad. Like the doors to houses look like small windows.
In addition to the Northeast, parts of Oklahoma are also dealing with flood warnings. Authorities there say at least 2 flood-related deaths were confirmed Monday. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
All of the Major League Baseball's biggest stars are returning to their respective teams after playing in the MLB's All-Star Game, and the Marlins had good representation. Luis Arraez was one of 2 players for the Marlins along with Jorge Soler. Arraez had a good performance, hitting an RBI, making the score 1-1 at the time, but ultimately helped the national team win the game. The final score was National League 3, American League 2. The season will resume on Friday for the Marlins, going against the Baltimore Orioles at 7:05 p.m. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking, let's go. You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a 4th ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly.
Lights out. Good night.
And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
I help our fellows design their paths as creative entrepreneurs. My experiences serving startups, creative businesses, and cultural organizations, and my journey as a queer mixed immigrant with Haitian and Arabic roots, inform the co-creative environment we foster at Radcliffe. We leverage our collective diversity to encourage the building of lifelong personal learning networks and mindsets that stimulate continuous innovation.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I am Paloma Pimentel.
And I'm Tanya Jimenez. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.